This was the best episode of Superman and Lois so far. It might even be the best episode ever, because this episode was so good, because I'm loving what they're doing in the season so far with all the storylines with Morgan Edge and all that stuff and Clark's sons. And I love that. I think that's cool. I love all the twists and turns and everything they're doing with that storyline. But also, it was just so fun and so cool to not only take a break from that, but to also just have such a fun episode, especially as a hardcore DC Comics Superman fan, just seeing all these references and Easter eggs and all these different things here, and just seeing the life story of Superman and Clark Kent. And it was just such a fun episode that I just had so much fun with. I really, really enjoyed it. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out for yourself, you really need to, especially because we're about to talk spoilers for the whole episode. So just want to throw that warning in here just so you don't get spoiled. But anyways, guys, up and away, let's get into this. So the episode, again, is basically, for the most part, a flashback episode that shows the story of Superman. We start off with actually the formation of the Fortress of Solitude. So we have Clark Kent. I'd say he's about maybe 15, 16-ish years old at this point. And he's got that orange sunstone that we saw Jordan actually found in episode 1 of Superman and Lois. And this stone actually helps form the Fortress of Solitude when Clark is out there in the Arctic. And then once he gets in there, he learns about his powers and learns about Krypton and where he came from Jor-El, of course, his father. And then all of a sudden he actually grows up into Tyler Hoechlin. So now we're back with our regular Superman here. And so he goes back to Smallville. We get to see Martha Kent again. Nice to see that actress back after her death in episode 1. But then he goes to see Lana Lang. But apparently she's moved on, because now she is with Kyle, and they're either engaged or already married, but clearly she's moved on, and there is no shot for Clark when it comes to Lana. Which, I mean, it sucks, but it really inspires him to go on to do better things, like being Superman, because Martha gives him this suit that she created for him to become the Superman. And so then he goes back to Metropolis and he fights crime and saves people as Superman. We get that scene that we saw in the first episode where he's wearing that classic suit from his debut comic as Superman. I even recreated that shot on the cover, holding up the green car and everything. So that was cool to see that scene again. They did a lot of reused scenes from that first episode, but honestly, I don't mind it at all because it was so awesome. And then the best part about this is that once he changes out of his Superman outfit, he does it in a phone booth, because that's just something Superman does. And then the story progresses with him getting his job at the Daily Planet, where, of course, he meets Lois Lane. Another scene we saw in the first episode, but now it's expanded on here because we see that they're actually working on some sort of investigation here. And this is just so awesome. This scene here just really shows me why these actors are so perfect for these roles. It just shows me how perfect Tyler Hoechlin is as both Superman and Clark Kent. How perfect Elizabeth Tulloch is as Lois Lane. They both play these roles so brilliantly and so perfectly, and you can see that so well in this first scene here. And also, another cool thing here is how Lois actually calls him Smallville, because he's from Smallville, so she just calls him Smallville. And that's just awesome, because that's a huge reference to the Smallville TV series, where Lois always called Clark Smallville. And I love that series. It's one of my favorite TV series of all time, so always love the references to that series. But Superman has to suit up once again, because this person that they've been investigating is striking on Metropolis. And it's this guy in a trench coat and a metal mask, and he attacks Lois. And at first I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is. Was he just some random villain created for this episode? But no, somebody actually pointed out to me that this is Atom Man, which is a very obscure Superman villain. But fun fact, huge reference and Easter egg here, is that this is not the first time we've seen Atom Man in live action, because he was actually the villain of the Superman movie in 1950, which I don't know for sure, but I think that is the first ever Superman movie, so I think that's pretty cool, the fact that Adam Man was the first ever live action Superman villain, and now in the Arrowverse, he is the first ever villain that Superman ever fought. So I think that is a really cool, huge reference that, again, most people aren't going to know. You'd have to Google it, but it's so awesome to see that is something they put in there. But of course, Superman shows up and he saves the day. He saves Lois, so this is their first meeting there as well. And we know that in the comics, Lois has both a good relationship with Clark and Superman. So she actually manages to get an interview with him on this Daily Planet news show, which is something that I don't think we've ever seen before, but it was definitely really cool here. And we get some more information here, like he retells his backstory to Lois, and he also reveals that he's learned every language in the world, which comes in handy because he flies over the world and saves people all over the world. And we saw this maybe last episode, the episode before, or I think he went to Mexico and we saw that he was actually speaking Spanish. So yeah, he knows every language, and again, that's really going to come in handy. But then this was another great moment of the episode where they take a break on the news show, and then Lois's co-worker Janet, she says hey, I think Superman likes you, and she's like, no, that can't be true because I'm in love with somebody else, and his name is Clark Kent. And it's just that classic thing you see in superhero shows all the time. I think I've mostly seen it with Spider-Man, where it's she's in love with the actual guy but not the super guy, or sometimes it's the other way around. Like in the Smallville series, Lois kind of had a thing with this mysterious blur, or the streak, or whatever they were calling Superman at the time, but not Clark. So I think that's really cool that they had that in the scene. And also it's just so cool, especially because Clark was sitting right there listening in on it. It was so awesome. But after this, we skip ahead once again to actually tell the love story of Lois and Clark. We see them getting married, and they find out they're pregnant. They're having twin boys. And this is where I got a little confused, because I was like, wait a second, but didn't she have this miscarriage with the daughter, Natalie, and all that stuff? And this we find out why it is confusing, because this is not real. This is actually Morgan Edge who caused all of these hallucinations for Clark. Clark is still in the Fortress of Solitude with Morgan Edge now, and so it was revealed that all of this was a retelling of his memories of his life, so that was really cool, but it was not real, and he was kind of just hallucinating. And I mean, am I the only one that was actually honestly kind of a little upset and disappointed that was where it ended? No, tell me more, show me more of Superman's life story, which, I mean, I don't really know what else there is to tell, but still, I was so into it, I was loving it so much, and I would have loved to have seen more, but then that disappointment did not last for long, because then we got right back into the main story here for Superman and Lois, and things got crazy. Because, of course, Morgan Edge asks once again, oh, come join me in my cause, brother. And, of course, Superman is like, nah, no way, I'm not doing that. And he completely rejects him once again. So Morgan Edge is like, all right, that's the last time you're going to reject me. And then he kills Jor-El. I mean, in a way, because Jor-El's already dead, or at least the real one. But this AI version of Jor-El is now dead. So, oh no, but hopefully, probably they can bring him back. I mean, most likely, he is an AI, but I don't know. And after this, Morgan Edge actually just keeps on beating Superman. Superman, he's down. He is down for the count right there. But then we get to see actually what's going on in the rest of Smallville with our other characters of this show. Like with Jordan and Sarah, who have a little talk here. And Sarah kisses him and is like, oh, good for you, man. Look, good job. And then she says, I don't want to just be friends anymore. Yeah, me either. I'm really happy for Jordan right there. He made it to the next step, and things are heating up there. I'm excited for him. And then also, as a side note here, Kyle also apologizes to Lois for, disagreeing with her this whole time, even though she was right about Morgan Edge from the beginning, and all that stuff. So that was just a real quick scene here. But what we really need to talk about is one of the ending scenes here, where we got the family. It's Lois, it's Jordan, it's Jonathan, and all of a sudden, they get a visit from Uncle Morgan. And I love how Jordan actually kind of stands up for them, and he starts using his laser eyes and everything, which is kind of weird that like he already knows how to control them and everything. But I'm gonna ignore it because this was so awesome. So he starts using his laser eyes, and it's like laser eyes versus laser eyes with Morgan versus Jordan, and of course Morgan Edge is stronger, so he defeats him. Oh, but it was still so cool to see. And then Superman does show up, but he's so weak to fight Morgan Edge. He can't do anything, and the only thing that he can do to save his family is to pledge his allegiance to Morgan Edge. He has no choice at this point. So that is unfortunately what happens here. He is now turned to the dark side, and Morgan Edge actually takes him back to the desert because he actually mentions like, oh, you like to have your palace in the Arctic, but I have my home in the desert or something like that. And so then they go back there, and we get a flashback very similar to the one at the beginning of the episode, but this time with Morgan Edge as a young boy, where he used one of those orange sunstones to create a Fortress of Solitude of sorts in the desert, which was honestly pretty cool as well. And Morgan Edge finally brings the Eradicator to his father, which is very similar to like Jor-El and that whole AI thing there that he had there, but this time with Morgan Edge and his father. So now their plan is complete, and they finally have the Eradicator. They finally have Kal-El in their grasp. But now what? Now they got to turn Superman evil, and that is exactly what happens here. We see Superman turn evil, and at the end of the episode, Lois actually calls John Henry Irons and says it's happening just like you said it would. So hopefully that means he's returning next episode, or at least sometime soon, so that he can become Steel and join the final battle. It's gonna be so cool. I'm so excited for it. But guys, that was the end of the episode, and actually the end of Superman and Lois for a couple weeks here, because the next new episode is not until July 13th, which is 3 weeks away. Kind of disappointing we have to wait that long, but at the same time, this was such a good episode to end off on before this break. And also, we got some huge stuff to look forward to in, well, not next week's episode, but next episode with not only Evil Superman, but also John Diggle'S returning as well, because he is doing his little mini crossovers throughout the Arrowverse series this year. We already saw he popped up in Batwoman. He's going to be in DC's Legends of Tomorrow this Sunday, and now he's going to be in Superman and Lois. And then after that, he'll appear in The Flash, or maybe The Flash will be first, because I don't know. It's confusing, but I'm so excited for it. And guys, of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about this episode of Superman and Lois? Again, I thought it was probably the best because I loved all the beginning stuff with the Superman origin stuff, but then even when we got back to the main present day, it was so good as well. So I absolutely loved it. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.